And we'll consider this to be a semi-terrible segue into the story about Joe Rogan and Sanjay Gupta. But Joe Rogan sits down with Sanjay Gupta of CNN and refuses to let Sanjay Gupta change the subject. He says, why did your network lie about what the medication I was taking was? They said it was horse dewormer. And Joe's like, a doctor prescribed it to me. And Sanjay Gupta's like, you're right. Okay, they shouldn't have said it. That's the power of independent media. And Joe Rogan may be on Spotify or whatever, but that's why they don't like it. That's why they censor it. Now, I really want to point something out, though. In this article from CNN.com, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, why Joe Rogan and I sat down and talked for more than 3 hours. There are two very important things that give you insight into the minds of the cult. And boy, when I read you these things, will you realize it's a cult. First and foremost, he says, I don't think I ever had a conversation that long with anyone. Seriously, think about that. We sat in a windowless podcast booth with 2 sets of headphones and microphones and a few feet between us. Not a single interruption, no cell phones, no distractions, no bathroom breaks. Show of hands. Or actually, let's go. Will, have you ever had a conversation with someone that was at least 3 hours?
Yeah. I mean, if, with breaks in between, but yes, like I'd say, it's the kind of thing where,
You've been on this show before, right?
I have been on the show. We've never gone 3 hours though.
We do way more than that.
Yeah, we do.
Have we gone?
Well, it's 2 and then
with me,
10-minute break, and then we
when
go
you
for
get
another
here
45.
at 7:20.
That's a fair point.
And then we start the show at 8. We end at 10.
Yeah, no, we've definitely talked. Okay, so we have talked for more than 3 hours. Sort of like,
but even with friends throughout your life,
one-on-one.
You've had conversations before.
Yeah, say you're in a car ride with somebody,
right?
A long car ride, like you'll be talking with them over the course of a lengthy period of time.
Yeah. Yes, okay, road trips. But hold on, Luke, have you had a conversation?
Oh yeah,
of course. Lydia.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, 100%. Especially like the ones they had face to face, going at it for 3+ hours. Yes,
I would imagine Ian's the one person in the room who's probably had the longest conversation with people out of any of us, because you seem the kind of guy who's going to sit there and really just like hang out with people in a sauna.
And he was pre-cell phone.
Yeah. I went to theater school. It's all about communication.
This is a guy who is telling you, think about that. He's never had a conversation that was 3 hours. Look, maybe it's just me. Maybe most people really don't interact with humans that much. That's shocking to me. And so I see that and I'm like, this is a guy who doesn't actually communicate with people. He sits in a room, reads a book, and watches a TV and doesn't talk to other people. But here is, you ready for this one? The best part. He says, okay, when I told Joe early in the podcast that I didn't agree with his apparent views on vaccines against COVID, ivermectin and many things in between, part of me thought the MMA former Taekwondo champion might hurtle himself across the table and throttle my neck. But instead, he smiled and off we went.
Yeah, that's a weird bias that you have. Like,
here's a guy. He is the chief medical correspondent for CNN, the most trusted name of news, who has never had a conversation with someone that lasted at least 3 hours and genuinely feared Joe Rogan would physically assault him in a podcast studio over his opinions.
That's pathetic.
When he could depose him. I mean, basically, that's what this is.
Or he's lying.
He's
lying.
It's something interesting. Like, there's certain people, and there's only a few areas where, like, it's one thing to have a conversation with someone over a long period of time. It's another to, like, be able to be interrogated, right? And by that, I mean, like, to be asked a continuous sequence of questions to examine what you think in your position on something. That happens in law school, right? If you're the subject of a Socratic questioning from a professor. That'll happen in debate rounds. Like, there's cross-examination that takes a period. Like, there's other things. But there's a lot of people, even if they're very smart and they've gone through very high-level, academia or like medical school or something, will have never actually been in a position where they were subject to like a sustained line of questioning about their beliefs. And I think that's, Sanjay, if anything, I think that's probably what he's expressing, this like, I was not ready. This is like the first time I've ever been interrogated. Like, I mean, I don't mean interrogated like with like law enforcement, but just like questioned about a position for this length of a period of time. And it's the sort of, regret kicking in because he got owned, right? Like, he got revealed that he had to get up and he had to concede to sound like a reasonable person that, yes, in fact, CNN had done wrong here. And then CNN is now so furious about it that they're putting him back on the show to like justify, let Donald.
I got a request. I would greatly appreciate it, Joe, if you could just take some money, drop it in a retainer for some good law firm, and sue CNN.